Welcome to the Face Your Grace podcast, where women with ideas become entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Kimberly Caccavo, joined by my co-host, Kate Nowlan. In each episode, we share our personal business experience and journeys and bring you compelling stories and actionable insights from other female entrepreneurs. Our mission is simple: to equip you with the confidence, the wisdom, and the practical tools to fully embrace your inner power and intuitive feminine genius as you embark on your entrepreneurial adventure. So whether you're contemplating taking that first bold step or you're already on your business path, get ready to be inspired, challenged, and to face your grace.
Today, we'd like to welcome Lauren and Kelly. Lauren and Kelly are sisters, certified trainers, sports models, former Division I track and field athletes, and moms. They have extensive background in sports and fitness while also understanding through firsthand experience what it takes to manage demanding careers, family, and a healthy lifestyle. They are also entrepreneurs and started a business called SISSFiT, which stands for Stay Inspired, Stay Strong. Their goal is to bring you a realistic and effective approach to everyday working out through their top-rated Faster by SISSFiT app. They specialize in HIIT treadmill, outdoor run, elliptical, and strength training workouts that will leave you dripping with sweat and feeling like an athlete. I have personally experienced this, and you do. Please welcome Lauren Reed and Kelly Collins to the Face Your Grace podcast. Welcome, ladies.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. So before we start, just tell our viewers here who's who.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Kelly. Awesome. We learned that Lauren is the older of the two by 3 years.
Yes.
Awesome. So before we get started, can you just give us a quick background on yourselves? I mean, I think I did that in the intro, but it'd be great to hear from each of you, your path to where you got started, and then we'll dive into SISSFiT a little bit later.
Wait, do you want to know how they met each other?
Well, obviously. Just kidding.
I wasn't so thrilled when she was coming home from the hospital, to be honest. I all my stuffed animals and told her that Ellie didn't want her here and Horse didn't want her here and I don't want her here. So I guess it's strange.
I love it.
So I'm the older sister. Kelly and I were high school teammates for 1 year. She was a freshman when I was a senior. And we both actually ran at UC Irvine for college. And I redshirted a year, so we got 2 years together in college. We were teammates. We were on the same 4x4 relay. I did the heptathlon, which is a series of 7 events. Kel was a hurdler, sprinter. And we lived together for a couple of years in college and then got into our own separate careers. We're super busy, travel heavy, constantly exchanging workouts. Kind of where SISSFiT was born, and the idea that we both wanted to eventually have families and have something that we're passionate about, but still be able to have that flexibility. And you know what led us where we are now. And I've got, as I say, you started with your modeling career. I was in sales prior to SISSFiT, and then you got 2 kiddos. Yeah, no, I was gonna say, yeah, I've got 2 kids, 5 and 3, and I've got 1 Bruno's, got 1 other.
Love it.
Hey, congratulations.
So, yeah, we're gonna have to learn some things around here real quick.
Which you will for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So we love to start with just some get loose fun questions, and it sort of breaks the ice and helps our listeners learn a bit more about each of you. So let's start with what are each of your greatest strengths?
Oh, I feel like that's an easier one to answer for each other. Sometimes it's easier to recognize the strengths than your own. So is that okay if we answer for each other?
Love it.
Okay. Well, I'll go first then, since I'm just a chatterbox right now. I would say Kelly's confidence, and that's not a cockiness. It's just an overall confidence in our workouts and what we bring to the table in the content that we can deliver, and knowing our worth and fighting for it and being very decisive. I'm probably the most indecisive person you'll ever meet. So it's really helpful to have someone go, okay, this is the decision we're making. And then I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. So I think just that confidence in what we bring to the table is really cool and helpful.
And then I would say Lauren's is her follow through execution and attention to detail, because I may be confident, but don't always back that up with such thorough attention to detail and follow through. So Laura is really, really great about
executing, the plans that we put together, and making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed and nothing really falls through the cracks, which is amazing.
That's awesome. What a compliment to each other too, in terms of a partnership. Yeah. Okay, so what are your biggest accomplishments? What would you each consider your biggest accomplishment?
Personally or professionally? Speaking about SISSFiT, I assume.
Anything. Yeah, whatever that is for you.
I mean, truthfully, I would say starting SISSFiT, having the courage, or I'm kind of joke like oblivion.
Yes.
It's easy. We got this. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
So definitely starting SISSFiT, just having the courage to do that, and just being financially responsible enough to self-invest, and a lot of Lauren's help, and just get it off the ground and running. But then for sure, launching our app and perseverance that it took to get from the ebook guides that we created with our workouts, and social media, to a completely original app platform where we could bring our workouts to everyone, because it seems easy, but it was a really, really daunting, long process. It took a lot of perseverance. So
Definitely.
that's personally, professionally, I would say that's what it was for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny when I feel like when we ask that question, even if, we all are proud of our kids, and you'll find this, Kelly, once you have a kiddo, that might be your biggest accomplishment. Although teenage years, you might go, is that actually an accomplishment at all? But I love that answer. And I think that we hear that so frequently too. It's like, once you just, like, the fact that you started it and went for it, whether that was naivety or the fact that you were scared shitless, but you still did it. I think there's a lot of value in that for entrepreneurship, and that it's often just taking that leap that then you're like, oh, wow, I did it. And how the confidence it gives you by doing it. So,
yeah.
All right. One thing no one knows about each of you, but you're finally confident in yourself to share it.
Diving right in here. So, well, we could each be individual, or we could give you a really honest and kind of vulnerable answer that applies to the two of us. And that would be that we actually have been to marriage and family counseling together, because starting a business, running a business with your sister comes with a lot of challenges. We're best friends. We were roommates. We were teammates. We're like, we got this thing. And then we started a business, and it's like, when I'm super frustrated, I'm calling mom, because mom knows Kelly the best. She knows me the best. And this is why I'm so frustrated. And you understand this about her personality. And, and then Kel's like, and Lauren did this, mom, and da-da-da. And so we kind of found ourselves in this habit of involving our families more than we wanted to. And so we're like, you know what? Why are we operating this way? Like, let's get to the bottom of this. And so we found a really amazing therapist, and we went to a handful of sessions, and it was just absolutely fascinating to learn kind of the reasons for why does Kelly respond this way when I do this? And why do I respond this way when she approaches me with this? And it has just paid dividends, I think, for our relationship, for our family, for our business, for working together, figuring out like the way that each of us operates the best. Just the appropriate boundaries. Yeah. And it's just been like, again, kind of just the growth of a career. It's been like the growth of our relationship, and it's made us so much more understanding of one another. And that's probably the biggest.
I love that answer.
I do too. And leading right into our podcast, because one of the things we want to talk to you guys about is partnerships. So I think that your experience with that therapist and family counselor can help. In our Face Your Grace programs, we do a big section on partnerships, because Kate and I were lucky. Ours worked, and we worked through the parts that didn't work, but not everyone has those tools. So in this podcast, maybe you can lean a little bit towards the partnership aspect and help our listeners understand what makes a great partnership.
Yeah. Well, and I think, it's interesting. I listened to a podcast. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but regardless, it was talking about how friends often don't seek a counselor the way that like couples would. And that so often it leaves these disconnects when really you should be trying to get deeper and leaning into the hard stuff, because that's the true value of a friendship, is like the good, the bad, the ebbs, the flows, really knowing someone's weaknesses and their strengths. And how, like, to your point, like, how do you create boundaries that are healthy for both of you, and establish what those actually are? And it was a really interesting podcast. It's something I had never even thought of for us, even though I come from a family therapist. That's probably why I avoided actually thinking about it. I'm like, I can't deal with any more of those types of people. But that being said, I do think partnership can be extremely hard and can also be the best thing that's ever happened, even if it's not your sibling. But I can only imagine it being your sibling too, where it makes that added layer more challenging at times, because you're like, oh, and we have Sunday dinner with our parents, and I sort of didn't like you this week. So,
Carried the load this week. Should we bring that up?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay, well, I think this is a great segue into then what led you to become entrepreneurs? What sort of sprouted the idea that you guys decided to go for it?
We both really prioritized families and our careers. I know at the time I was in sales and I saw my future just being this trajectory of climbing the ladder. And I knew I wanted to start a family and didn't want to have that lack of flexibility where either I was stopping cold turkey to be a stay-at-home mom, or I was just grinding up the career ladder and felt like I had no time. I just could see myself being stuck in this in-between that I didn't want to be in. And we knew that we had something special. And Lauren was pretty close to, ready to start a family and had a, insane modeling career. And so we just decided, let's just give it a try and let's be able to hopefully build our schedules and our future and ebb and flow with who carries what weight at different times in our lives, and just try to make a business that works with our lives and with our families.
And did that start, because you mentioned you had an ebook, so it started with creating that ebook that was, explain the sort of path for SISSFiT, what that looked like.
Sure, yeah. So we started creating just like ebook PDF guides. So, you would see the little exercise
Yes.
across the page. I mean, that's kind of how everyone started back in 2016. And we, of course, were doing workouts on Instagram, but that was even before we had Instagram stories. So wild that it, evolved.
Yeah.
I know. I was going to say, to kind of back up even a little bit further, we ran track and field in college, and we graduated, got into these careers, and we're like, oh my gosh, we used to spend 5 hours on the track, and now Kel's got client dinners. I'm in a different time zone every day. We've got like 30 minutes max, and that's at 5 a.m. Like, how are we going to feel our best and still feel like an athlete and get that, that strength, that high, that what we've always lived for, but like manage these careers? And so we were constantly sending each other texts like, this is the workout I did in my hotel room. Hey, I had a hotel gym this time. This is the treadmill workout I did. And we were just like sending these messages back and forth. And okay, I'm going to try your workout today.
Partnership accountability.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where the idea began. And then just realizing like, we're clearly not the only busy women out here. Other people need these workouts. And we felt like we had kind of found a really special way of delivering them that was challenging, because we went to a lot of group fitness classes that just kind of let you feel like, oh, did I waste 30 minutes or an hour? Like, I wish I would have gotten more out of it. So they're challenging, they're motivating, they're exciting. You can see measurable progress, which is really big for our kind of type A community. And so that's when we started like, okay, we're going to start putting these workouts on paper. We're going to sit down at the kitchen table 3 times a week, and we're going to see kind of where that takes us. Yeah.
That was, sorry to interrupt you, but that was one of my questions, is how did you then make the time? Like, how did you dedicate time to actually creating what that looked like, your business plan, or just all the workouts?
We were doing nights and weekends when I was still working in sales. And then pretty early on, I took the leap. I'd been saving to, buy a house in my early 20s, and was like, well, let's just not buy the house yet, and we'll dive into this. Again, like I said, maybe a little bit naive, but I don't regret that. And so I dove in actually full time. Unfortunately, I had my personal training certification. I was teaching group fitness. I had clients. Like, it wasn't this total cold turkey, but it really did take diving in. Yeah. And Lauren was scaling back on modeling. And so we were able to just really put our heads together and get it. Yeah. And to be clear, Kelly was definitely like the catalyst. Like, I would not have started this business on my own. And it took that, like, we're going to do this. And I was probably not the most ideal business partner for the first few years. And not because I wasn't like willing to show up or give it everything I had. It's like, I was scaling back on my travel and career, and I was, starting a family, and there were just a lot of distractions and, morning sickness and newborns and juggling all those new things. And it was like, I'm trying to show up for you, but you're trying to do this full time, and I don't have the time to do this full time. And so that's probably also where we were like missing each other in the relationship at times. But we're here now because of, we've never thrown in the flag at the same time, fortunately. Yeah. It's helpful to have someone that's like, no, we're not giving up now. I've put in too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What is your favorite? Oh, sorry. What's your favorite part of being a female entrepreneur, each of you individually, and then with your sister, with your business partner?
I personally, this Kelly, I love creating my destiny in a sense. Like, I just love that you get to choose. I mean, certainly that sounds so much easier, more glamorous than it really is. But being able to choose your, your schedule over time and what you're willing to put in, and, having the confidence to scale back when it's not serving you, rather than just feeling like you're in the corporate washing machine of just going every which direction anyone pulls you. So that's what I've always loved about it. Yeah, absolutely. I would say the same. I think we're aligned. We align really well in our goals and our future. And that's not to like knock this thing so far out of the park that it takes our focus away from our families and keeping it, manageable. And so the more experience you have, the more you start to realize, okay, I can take this much on. I can't take that project, and having the confidence to say no to things and just come up with a plan and ebb and flow, like Kelly said, throughout seasons of like, okay, we're going to really push through the season and we're going to see the benefits of that. And we're going to scale back here and we're going to batten the hatches a little bit. And that's fine too. It's just so rewarding to have that control, I guess.
And do you have a community that you lean? I mean, you have your community, right? And I looked at your following on Instagram, which is quite impressive. But outside of that, do you have like a female entrepreneurship community that you have leaned on at times or have looked to for advice?
We haven't had specifically a female entrepreneurship community, but of course we've had SDSI, San Diego Sports Innovators, and that's been helpful to feel connected to a lot of active lifestyle entrepreneurs, not exclusively female, but I would say that's something that like we've considered. Maybe it's an excuse that, you're too busy. We're all always too busy to like really dive into one of those communities. But I think it's something we'd probably be more open to at this point in finding. It would be fantastic to kind of sync up with people in a similar space.
Absolutely. It's something that I think a lot of female entrepreneurs actually struggle with, is finding that network. And it's why I asked, because I think it's always nice to get, if you have a network, what is that? And how can other people join it? I mean, it's, that's where female entrepreneurship can oftentimes feel isolating, and like, you're like, where are the other women doing this? But I know, Kimberly, you had just sent a statistic over via email this morning that we're seeing so many more women founded businesses popping up since the start of the year that has ever been there. So there's, it's moving in the right direction. So then how do we form community around it is the next thing.
Absolutely. And, Kate, if you remember, one of our competitors who had a female athletic apparel brand, or a women-focused athletic apparel brand, was a single solo entrepreneur. And her community was us, her competitors. She would say, okay, let's go to lunch. We have to talk. And I wish I had someone to bounce things off with. So it's so great that you have each other, because you kind of have that built-in community.
Yeah.
And you've got your mom.
And we do have a lot of fitness friends that are, in a similar realm, and maybe our niches are slightly different, whereas ours is more cardio-based and theirs is more strength-based or yoga-based, but you can definitely bounce ideas off a lot of really highly motivating girlfriends. Yeah, I was going to say, we definitely have a lot of our friends that, hear about our workouts for a while. We'd never want to push family or friends or, people that don't want to dive into our workouts, but they've kind of naturally come around and tried them. And so they're so great at giving feedback, like, hey, what if you tried this? What if you put this in the app? Or so it's nice to have, real life, tangible friends to talk to as well.
We always joked that we wanted to put on our website just like a landing page that had, what you should do, which, because we always heard that, and then people could fill it in for all of the suggestions they would give us, because they'd be like, you need to make a tank top in a terracotta color, or and then like we do these things and we're like, where are the people that are supposed to be
Yeah, the squeaky wheel is not always the overall.
Yes, knowing your data is critical to knowing if you should actually go forward with some people's ideas. But to your point, people that feel like they can actually come to you and tell you what their perspective is, or ideas or inspiration that they have, can be so helpful to growing the business. So it's awesome. So go ahead.
What do you guys wish that you knew when you were starting your business that you know now? Like, what do you want to hand down to some aspiring entrepreneur?
Gosh, I would say that nothing happens overnight. Not only the success of a business, growing a business, that's not at all even what I'm talking about, although that's relevant. Everything feels urgent in a business. So there's always something at your, beck and call, or we need to make a decision, or everything's going to fall apart, or, just pause. Nothing happens overnight. You can delay decisions. You can skip a month of social media if we have to, even though we think that people are going to be like, where does SISSFiT go? They never really care. And they don't even notice. It's going to be fine. And so it's just taking the time to just lower the stress, take a step back, especially because you can get so spun up in ideas and just forward moving things that are on your plate. And so every single time we've scaled back, we've taken a breath, we've given a time delay that maybe we thought wasn't going to be a good thing. Typically it has been. So
yeah, I would say we've never regretted scaling back when we've been stressed out, and burnout is really real. I think we've both experienced that. We've both gotten involved in that rat race and chasing and giving up nights, giving up weekends, sacrificing, relationships. And it's not where you want to be, especially if you want this to be a long-term business.
Yeah. Learning to drawing boundaries.
What was it, Kimberly, that we used to always say? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So
we were sprinters. I
know, so that must have been. That's why I thought of it, because I was thinking that. I mean, your mindset is that, right? So it's hard to shift that mindset in entrepreneurship, but when you can,
and rest between intervals,
right? Totally. And what else did we say, Kate? As success is not a straight line. You're passing the ball down the soccer field. It's going all over. And we've had, even in this business, to have some pivots and some rests. We've had family illnesses, deaths, births, lots of stuff going on. Our business partner is not on today, but he will mix this. His wife is maybe giving birth right now. So
with their fifth, by the way, and she's been on bed rest for the last 3 months. So
yeah, how do you even do that?
We don't know. I mean, he has not been on a lot of our calls, and it's understandable, right? It's like, so we're just making decisions. We have an agreement between the three of us that if one person isn't there for a, decision day, the other two make the decision, and you just entrust that they're going to make the right one, because we can't all be there all the time because of life. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. I think just acceptance of the chaos that's going to be there rather than resisting it, just kind of going with the current, and it's been life-changing. You're like, well, I didn't expect that curveball today, but let's just laugh about it.
Right.
I help you being a mom, by the way, because there'll be a lot of curveballs.
Help me as well. I'm not holding on too tight. But
well, that's what I was going to say. It's kind of different about being a female entrepreneur too. It's like, yes, this applies to men as well, but I think moms are just throwing so many curveballs all the time. So it's got
her on a Zoom, and she's like, I think Bryn just ate like 50 vitamins. Hang on.
I swear she was in the kitchen for 2 minutes. Like, oh gosh. She was fine. Yeah.
Oh yes, we have absolutely been there. Yep. Yeah, I was like more like when they were going to a club called Bang Bang together, and we would be waiting for them at 3 a.m. That was really fun.
And then we had to drive to LA at 5. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Great, right? I'm doing the right thing here.
I keep telling my husband, like, let's just appreciate the lack of sleep we're getting with little ones that wake up occasionally here and there, because we like to go to bed at 9 p.m. and they're in bed before that. But pretty soon we're going to be waiting up for them. And that's a whole different scenario of lack of sleep.
Enjoy when everyone's tucked in bed in your house. As hard as it is to sometimes do the bedtime routine, it's like they're there. It's safe. You don't have those extra worries. I still have the worries about those things. I know you do too, Kimberly, without having the kids home.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we could go down that tangent. But, it's interesting because I also, so frequently women are asked, like, how do you balance work and, life and also work? And it's like, how many men are actually asked that question? And the reality is men are asked that question because they don't have to do the balancing act that women have to do. I mean, it's just, we're not socialized.
That women want to do. I mean, right? I mean, there's some of it that we probably don't need to get involved in, but we still do.
Absolutely.
We're good at it.
Okay. What is your grace, each of you?
I think honestly, just the genuine contentment with kind of where we're at and finally finding that rhythm and being okay saying no to things and being okay scaling back and just knowing like this was the goal, this was the plan. Like it wasn't to take this to the moon, it was to have exactly what we have right now.
I would say the same thing.
Yes. What if it went to the moon? How would you handle that?
Outsourcing a lot.
Smart answer. You know what to do then.
Yeah, it would be fine if it went to the moon as long as it didn't take any more time in our bandwidth out of our day.
Nice. That's smart.
Yep. All right. So final question. Okay, really, I'll ask it. I saw you preparing, but I'll do it.
No.
What are some unexpected challenges you faced as an entrepreneur and how have you overcome them? And the reason we ask that is so often we talk about like, I feel like we're like, oh my gosh, and they had this success and they don't know like the bumps in the road or the challenges that might be so helpful for them to learn as they're creating their own businesses. So we love to dig into some of that stuff that maybe isn't as fun to talk about, but it's reality.
Well, I don't want to be a pessimist here and be like, what next? It's all bumps. It's always changing. It's all unexpected. I don't think we've ever like put together a plan and it's gone start to finish flawlessly. I would say one of our bigger challenges that was sort of unexpected. I mean, we as in Kelly was grinding it out really hard to get our app to come to life. And we launched it February 27th of 2020, which was 2 weeks before COVID. Phenomenal, right? We've got a digital product as everyone is going online. And that ended up actually being, everyone's going online with free 6 months and free year. And you've got all the Pelotons and the iFits and people with millions of dollars to market. And we're trying to get our product out there that we just spent years building. So that was really, really challenging because we can't compete with the market spend that these heavy hitters have. We can't give our product away for free. And then on top of that, all of our partnerships, our partners, everyone's worried about budgets, rightly so. Everyone's pulling back. And so everything's kind of crashing at once. And I had a newborn at the time and Kelly was like getting towards the end of that rope of like, I've invested a lot, but we need this to pay off. And so we were it was definitely the most stressful year outside of just, COVID in the world and everything going on. And that was the end of And Cal, actually, that's when she jumped back into a sales career towards the end of that year. And then it was my turn to, kind of jump in the driver's seat and say, I'm not going to let you down for everything that you've put there, but I'm also totally ill-equipped right now to like be driving this machine. And that was a really challenging 6 months. I would say we had more conversations about like giving it up and letting it go and trying to forgive each other. But happy to say we made it through. We're in a great space. It's been really cool to understand each other's perspectives now of driving and why she was frustrated at things I did and why I was frustrated at things she did, and to have more compassion and understanding for the different phases and stages of life. That's been a really cool lesson. But yeah, we've had bumps, no doubt.
And within that time where, the world, everyone was going online and you couldn't compete with the big dogs, what was it that got you through? Like, what was it that made SISSFiT successful? Because you're still here today.
Definitely perseverance. I mean, we were grinding it out. We were starting challenges. We were offering, 2 weeks, but it would be a 4-week challenge. So we would hopefully believe in our product enough, get people hooked that they would then start to pay for the product. And it was a lot of of free workouts, of giving, of trying to foster that, of, co-promoting things with others in a similar space and trying to just really go grassroots. And
but I mentioned we took a loss for many, many months because we cut down a ton of revenue streams and put it straight into our app. So, that's the hard truth, that we just kind of persevered and sucked it up and had to deal with that, and laid off a few of our contracted employees. And that's the other part I was going to say is you'll realize a lot of times that people that say they're experts aren't always experts, or maybe not the expert that you need. So a lot of times we might hire people and realize it's not the right fit, and to just be malleable and accepting of different strengths and what you need in your business. So
I would say that really big one is that nobody knows your business the way that you do. And you so badly want to hand off some of these things, especially in areas that are not your expertise, whether that's, legal or marketing or accounting. But the hard truth is it's really difficult to find the people that are willing to dive into your business the way that you have. And so just patience, and
when you find them, treat them well.
Yep. So true.
What are you guys doing? What's the biggest thing you're working on right now besides your baby?
Oh, she's getting big. We just launched live video in apps. So we've had a video where you can have like a snippet in app, but our app's been predominantly audio based. So now being able to just hop on a treadmill or elliptical or strength workout and lead start to finish has been such a game changer for us, because not only can we give our audience what, and community what they want, we can produce content so quickly. So that's been our emphasis of just really getting back into it.
Yeah. And it's a little more personal. We can, share a little bit more about our day or what we're going through and hopefully relate, which is
and more than they bargained for.
No, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that's like the beauty of branding right now is people, especially women, are looking for authenticity and not that fakeness. I mean, I don't want to see somebody that has like this perfect look all the time and their life is just so perfect. I actually want to hear something that's relatable to me, that's like a struggle, or they're squeezing something in because they've got that 20 minutes in between and this is how they do it. I mean, to me, that's the actual inspiration. And I think that goes across whatever type of platform or whatever it is you're selling. And I think that's true for the younger generations. I mean, for our children, it's like they can quickly see something that isn't authentic, and they can, they want to find brands that have people behind them or that stand for the things they stand for. It's like, that's really important in this day and age. And I just think it's going to increasingly become more important to consumers.
Yeah, absolutely.
One other question, last question. Are you guys using AI at all in your app and your workouts?
Not yet. That I don't even really grasp any of it.
Wow. It's suggested a few times. It's something we've lightly discussed with our contractors, but we have not dove into that yet.
All right. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because I think what's great about your brand and your product is it is two women who are working and helping you with your body. And I don't know that a machine can do that, but I was curious.
It is fascinating. Yeah. I mean, we've used it for ideas before, or it would be really great for maybe some customer service type things. And again, we're not that well versed in it yet, but I could see the benefits.
I know it scares me a little bit. That is what we share. Yeah, I know. Although, yeah, I know it's convenient for our kids when they're writing papers or have to do a speech and they're like, they just plug it in and then all of a sudden they have this beautiful paper speech where they're like, wow. I mean, I'm like surprised that a machine can actually do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of curious.
Yeah. All this
did a poem for my husband for Valentine's Day using AI. And I said, do a poem, and I gave his characteristics, and I said, and do the tone of William Shakespeare, right? He didn't even know that it was generated by a computer. He's like, oh, that's so sweet.
Oh my God.
That is so good.
Oh, that's awful at the same
It was so bad. So that's awesome.
All right. So where can those that are listening, where can they find you? Give us your handles here.
Yes. So our app is called Faster by SISSFiT, and that is both in the Apple and Google Play Store. Our handle is at SISS_fit. SISS, as you mentioned at the beginning, it's an acronym for Stay Inspired, Stay Strong. Really, the backstory is that SIS was not available. So we know it. We made this with double S our own.
Right? I love it. I love it.
And our website is www.sissfit.com. So SISSFIT. All the letters sound the same.
And we'll make sure we include that. It'll be on the screen too. So they'll be able to see that. It'll be a clickable link so they can find you that way. But in case people are listening, they can also use that and come back and look at it if you have to click on it. But thank you so much, Kimberly. I know that we want to make sure our viewers check out faceyourgrace.com too. So if you're interested in starting that business.
Absolutely. And you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, on iTunes and Amazon, or even head to YouTube where you can see the SISSFiT sisters and subscribe and watch content, including this video version While you're there, please hit the like button, especially on this episode. Thanks for joining us today, to both Kelly and Lauren, and thanks to those of you for listening. We hope you were as inspired as we were by these amazing entrepreneurs.
Thanks, ladies. Really appreciate you.